When was the last time you were truly bored? Not scrolling through your phone pretending to be bored. Not Netflix in the background while you eat bored. I'm talking about staring at a wall with absolutely nothing to do, forcing your brain to reach deep within itself just to figure out what comes next. You can't remember, can you? And you probably think that's a good thing. You've spent your entire life running from boredom like it's a disease, filling every gap, every silence, every empty moment with something, anything, to avoid that uncomfortable feeling of just existing. But here's what nobody's telling you. That escape from boredom is exactly what's keeping you mediocre. It's why you can't outthink your competition, why your creativity feels dead, why you're busy all the time, but never actually improving. Let me tell you about Michael, 26 years old, working in tech, constantly connected, phone in his hand before his eyes were fully open, podcasts while he showered, music during breakfast, Reddit while he commuted, Slack notifications all day, YouTube videos during lunch, Netflix while he ate dinner, TikTok before bed. Every single moment of his life was filled with stimulus, and he thought this made him productive, informed, engaged with the world. Then one weekend, his phone died, completely bricked, and his laptop decided to join the rebellion, wouldn't turn on. It was Sunday, everything was closed. He was stuck in his apartment with nothing, no screens, no stimulus, just him and four walls. The first hour was torture. He paced, he stared out the window, he reorganized his bookshelf 3 times. His mind was screaming for input, any input, like an addict in withdrawal, because that's essentially what he was. But then, around hour 2, something strange started to happen. His mind, which had been frantically searching for external stimulus, started turning inward. Thoughts began bubbling up that he hadn't had time to think in months. Ideas about a project he'd abandoned, connections between concepts he'd learned but never had space to process, questions about his life, his direction, his choices. By hour 4, he was sitting on his floor with a notebook he'd found in a drawer, writing. Not because anyone told him to, not because it was productive, just because his brain, finally given room to breathe, wanted to create something. That one day of forced boredom changed Michael's entire perspective because he realized what he'd been doing to himself, what we're all doing to ourselves. Think about it like this. Your brain is like a muscle that needs to rest. When you work out, you don't lift weights 24 hours a day. You lift, then you rest, and during that rest is when the actual growth happens. Your brain works the same way, but we've created a world where mental rest is impossible. From the moment you open your eyes to the moment you fall asleep, stimulus is being pumped into your brain. TV shooting images into your eyes, your phone sending tweets into your ears, Amazon delivering dopamine hits straight to your doorstep.
Your brain never gets a chance to process, to organize, to clean itself. It's like constantly eating without ever digesting. Eventually, everything just backs up and nothing works properly anymore. When Michael experienced that forced day of boredom, his brain was finally able to do what it's designed to do when given space. It fasted. It cleansed itself of noise. Internal chatter quieted down, priorities clarified. He could suddenly distinguish what actually mattered from what was just noise filling the void. It was like resetting, cleaning, and exercising his brain all at once. But here's where it gets really interesting. During that day, Michael started having ideas he'd never had before. Creative connections his brain couldn't make when it was drowning in constant input. Imagine if food appeared in your mouth every time you felt hungry. You'd never need to search for it, never need to explore, never need to discover grocery stores, restaurants, new neighborhoods, new people. The entire process of finding food would atrophy. That's exactly what happens when you eliminate boredom. Your brain stops exploring. It stops connecting dots. It stops organizing information and imagining new possibilities because it's too busy processing the tsunami of stimulus you're forcing into it every waking moment. Creativity needs emptiness. New ideas need space. Solutions to problems need your brain to have the bandwidth to actually think instead of just react. Michael discovered this when his devices died. Suddenly, with nothing to consume, his brain shifted into creation mode. Ideas for side projects, solutions to problems at work he'd been stuck on for weeks, realizations about relationships he'd been neglecting. His brain was finally able to do its job. And there was something else, something unexpected. During that day of boredom, Michael noticed things he'd been blind to for years. The way light moved across his apartment at different times, the sound of birds outside his window that had always been there but drowned out by constant noise, his own breathing, his own sense of just being alive. His senses sharpened, his focus intensified. He slipped into something almost meditative without even trying. And when the boredom finally became comfortable instead of terrifying, he realized he'd stumbled onto something powerful. Boredom wasn't the enemy. It was a training ground, a dojo for the mind. While everyone else was running from it, afraid of being alone with their thoughts, the few people who leaned into it were sharpening themselves, building focus muscles that atrophy when you're constantly feeding your brain entertainment and distraction. So Michael made a decision. He was going to weaponize boredom. He started with what he called stimulus fasts, 1 hour every Saturday morning in his apartment with absolutely nothing to do. No phone, no laptop, no books, no music, just him and the wall. The first few times were brutal. His brain screamed, his hands twitched for his phone. The discomfort was almost physical, but he sat with it, let it be uncomfortable. And slowly, that hour became the most valuable hour of his week. Ideas emerged, clarity crystallized, problems solved themselves, not through force or effort, but through the simple act of giving his brain space to work. He started eliminating distractions from the rest of his life too. Phone stayed in one designated spot instead of following him everywhere. TV got unplugged. He created a space in his apartment that was just for boredom, a chair by the window, nothing else.
And the changes started compounding. His focus at work intensified, his creative output exploded. The constant background anxiety he'd been carrying for years started to dissolve, because his nervous system finally had time to regulate instead of being constantly activated by notifications and stimulus. 6 months later, a coworker asked him what had changed. "You seem different," she said, "calmer, but also sharper somehow." Michael smiled. "I learned how to be bored," he said. She laughed, thinking he was joking, but he wasn't. Here's what Michael understood that most people never will. The world has convinced us that boredom is something to avoid, something negative, something that means we're wasting time or missing out. But that's exactly where the advantage lies. While everyone else is filling every gap with noise, the few people who embrace boredom are collecting a secret weapon. They're giving their brains the one thing modern life tries to eliminate: space. Space to think, space to create, space to process, space to grow. This pattern appears everywhere in life. When the masses follow something blindly, when everyone agrees that something is good or bad without questioning it, those who actually understand gain a massive advantage, a cheat code that everyone else is too distracted to notice. Boredom is that cheat code. Your competitors are drowning in stimulus, reactivity, and constant noise. Their brains are cluttered, their creativity is dead, their focus is fractured into 1,000 pieces. Meanwhile, you're sitting in a quiet room, staring at a wall, letting your brain do what it does best when you stop forcing garbage into it every second of the day. They think you're wasting time. You know you're sharpening a blade. The truth is simple. Your brain is not designed for constant input. It needs rest. It needs space. It needs boredom, the same way your body needs sleep. Deny it long enough and everything starts breaking down. But give it space, give it regular periods of nothing, and watch what emerges. Clarity you didn't know was possible. Creativity that seemed dead suddenly exploding back to life. focus that cuts through problems like a hot knife through butter. Ideas connecting in ways they never could when your brain was busy processing TikTok videos and Twitter threads. Michael learned this the hard way through forced circumstance. But you don't have to wait for your devices to die. You can choose boredom. Right now, today, 1 hour. Nothing to do, nowhere to be, no stimulus, just you and the uncomfortable silence that everyone else is too afraid to face. That discomfort, that's not weakness. That's your brain detoxing from the constant noise. That's growth happening in real time. And while the world keeps running from boredom, keeps filling every second with stimulus and distraction, you'll be sitting there quietly, sharpening yourself. They'll wonder how you got so far ahead. You'll know the truth. You stopped running from the one thing everyone else is afraid of. You learned to be bored. And that made all the difference.